like to welcome everybody this evening. Hope everybody had a great day. Um, and we have a special guest in the studio with us this evening. Pastor White will be our special guest this evening. I'm honored to have him in the house with us. Um, I couldn't be more prouder than to have our pastor sitting and talking about financial freedom to the congregation. So, with that, let's go ahead and get started the way we always do. We'll kick it off with prayer. Pastor, would you like to do the honors?
Sure. God, our Father, we thank you, for Lord, for this opportunity for us to come together in this sacred space yet again. We thank you for what you are doing. We thank you for this ministry, for the transformative power of this ministry, Lord, and all that it is doing for your people. Lord, we pray that you continue to bless us and keep us. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, thank you. I'm such an honor to have you here with us this evening. I want to start by talking about our 30-day savings and make sure everybody is still on track. Today is the 15th. If you've made your deposit today into the piggy bank, you should have a total of $120 in your piggy bank. So we're well on our way, and we're pretty much at the halfway mark for our 30 days. So keep going, keep up the good work. We're investing in our futures as we do this.
God, our Father, we thank you, for Lord, for this opportunity for us to
All
come.
right. So, Pastor, um, let's talk about some of the things in terms of financing that, I won't say keep you up at night, but some of the things that are important to you. So, as we've talked about in financial freedom, planning is very important. And we talked about putting our budget together for 2021. And hopefully, everybody is on target with having their budget together and they're working the plan. Um, so, what did you decide to do different in 2021 with your budget?
2021, I guess, is unique for us, in that while we plan to advance some of our business ventures, at the same time, we are tasked with being more frugal, um, for personal reasons. So I guess we're at a conflict. We're at a conflict between business and personal. Again, wanting to pursue other business ventures while at the same time realizing that we had planned to transition, in 2021 from here, down south, and in doing so, being able to, trying to incur as little expenses, as possible. Well, as little debt expenses. There's no way that we can not incur little expenses in the move, but trying to incur as little debt expenses in the transition as possible. So for us, I guess 2021 was, um, being more conscientious of where we're spending, while at the same time, in the areas where we are spending money, spending it with an expectation of return, of reaping an return from the business side. So that's I guess that's our what made our approach for 2021 a lot more different. And what I realized in being able to do that, and luckily for me, I can say this because y'all know I'm transparent. But I can say this because I know right now my better half is not tuned in, because she's tending to a work matter. I realized in doing that, I had to curtail the frequency in which we traveled this year. And y'all know how much I love vacationing. So being even being willing to sacrifice that in return.
thank you. I understand that, one of the things that I've also challenged myself with is my spending habits. I can tend to have a healthy spending habit. I think some of our items we like to spend on travel and clothing and things kind of aligned from the past. So if I'm going to talk about financial freedom, I've got to set the example um, for for us personally. And there are some things that you know, in looking at my household, I've decided that it's not really a need; it's a want. And so maybe cutting those things out of the budget was very important for us moving forward. So I understand what you mean. That travel thing, I'm praying about that too. That we make it because I do believe in self care being very important. And traveling is one of those ways in which I try to take care of myself. So I understand. What's the one thing you think you forgot to add to the budget?
The one thing I forgot to add, probably, that's a good question. Because I really, it's one that I haven't really given thought of. What did I exclude? What area could I have focused on that we didn't? Um, wow.
I'll tell you one for me is, and it's something that I just didn't think about, but I do it all the time. Is I invest, and I didn't set a target for what I was going to invest for 2021. I just, and so I'm having to go back and reevaluate that number and say, okay, I need to plug something in so I can account for where those dollars are going. Um, well, I know in terms of looking at the trading houses, but I want to have the accountability from a budget standpoint listed down that this is what I plan to because I want to see what the plan was versus what the actual is on the budget.
Well, since you say that, yeah, I guess there's always can always re-examine on what further cost savings we could make to allocate more funds towards investing, especially as I get closer to retirement. That becomes a much more greater concern for me, especially now that retirement is in sight. So yeah, I think to copy you, that could have been something that we looked at more closely to see um, how much more could we allocate to what we had already planned um, to put towards investment. So yeah, I'm gonna copy you and say that that's an area that we um,
Take a look at.
that needs taking a look at more.
Okay. Well, thank you. Something else is we look and we talk about our investments and our financial budget. You know, um, as my pastor, I know you give advice to a lot of younger people and couples. Is there any advice you give to a new couple when it comes to finances that you would like to share?
My advice to a new couple would be make a way to set aside an amount for savings. And I realized during those first years, it's kind of tough to pinch pennies to save. But my advice to them would be to always Um, I would always put your financial house in in this order. God sells everything else. We do a great job in the church of preaching and teaching the importance of tithing. I think we can do a far greater job. We can do a better job at doing it. But I think what we also need to do more of also is encouraging people to invest in themselves as well. So my advice to them would be, no matter how small it may seem to be, over time, even a drop, a single drop of water over time, if not giving an outlet, could one day become a mighty flood. So I would advise them that no matter how small you think, or how small or insignificant you think it may be, over time, it could amass to be something that's far greater than anything than what you could expect. So that would be my advice to them: to invest in yourselves, to set aside something for the future. Um, so that would, I think, would be my number one advice to them.
And I think that, also the tithing, growing up, I don't know that there was a big emphasis on tithing. Oh, we went to Sunday school, we attended church, and we had a certain amount we put in. But if I were to go back and look at my younger self and say, did I understand it? Did I understand what my responsibility was? Even at a young age, understand what my responsibility was. And moving forward in my adult life, the importance of tithing, very important to us in our household, and making sure that we give, and that's right off the top. Um, and I I can attest to the importance of it and how I've seen things change as a result of that. And you get when you know better, you do better, as they would say. So I know better, and I make a conscious effort to do better with that as well. So thank you for that. So um, last month we had a couple of young entrepreneurs to join us, and they talked about some of the things that they wish they knew when they were younger, and had learned that their younger selves. And I know having the youth be a part of financial freedom and coming and talking was something that you were really passionate about. Um, what is or what are some of the things you wish that you knew or were taught at a younger age?
Oh man, how many more minutes do we have left? Let me say this. I guess let me preface my answer with this. I wish, of all of the platforms that we have going on live right now, Sunday worship, Tuesday, this segment, financial freedom, Tuesday night teaching, let's talk, everything that we're doing right now, it it saddens me that this particular platform does not have the number of individuals tuning in as it should. It saddens me, but at the same time, I realize the realism of it. Because here's the realism of it. As children, we're told what? We're told as children, our generation was told as children, we want to go to school, you want to get an education, you want to get a good job, and you want to be able to retire from it. That was that's what was instilled in us. Get a good education, get a good job, to be able to make a good living and to retire from it. That's good. And for the most part, many of us, we did that. But I think that what we really miss the boat is encouraging entrepreneurship. Because no matter how good of a job we get, how great of a career it may be, um, for the most part, we'll never be able to retire and be able to proclaim that we are really the lenders and not the borrowers. Uh, I've had, last month celebrated 20 years in my current job. And, in 3 more years, I'll be able to retire from that. But no matter how great of a career that I, would be able to look back and say I had, yes, it has afforded some wonderful opportunities. But at the same time, um, you know, it never afforded the opportunity to really be on the level that God desires us to be. And so what really encouraged me in listening to them talk is for them to at such a young age to have the mindset of, you know, I'm going to be we're going to be the boss. It's one thing. Yeah, we have great career opportunities ahead of us. Again, it's Richard, medical student, but still have the mentality that even though I'm achieving a life goal, a lifelong dream of becoming a physician, I still want to be a boss. And so what that encouraged me to believe is not only that he did, and even hearing you talk about even at a young age, he spoke those things that were not as though they were. And here he is now, years later, able to realize. And I'm starting to get into just uh, commercial. Commercial. I'm gonna throw a commercial in this. I'm kind of getting into what I'm talking about on Sunday. Is how he stuck to the dream and now beginning to see it become a reality. Both of them,
Right.
even Mr. Williams.
Absolutely.
And so what that said to me is we do ourselves a disservice by painting ourselves in a box. And for years I've said that as far as I'm concerned, I don't acknowledge the box. There is no box. But yeah, and still I have even, painted myself in that box as well. And so now, sitting at the ripe old age that I am now, and reflecting on life and wishing I could have a conversation with the young me, and encouraging the young me to pursue some of those dreams, some of those aspirations that I had, but talked myself out of it because again, a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, and all those cliche sayings, those sayings that we have, it sounds good, but it really um, doesn't really line up the word with the word. So for me, what hearing them talk, what it helped me realize something that I wished that I had done more so at a younger age, had was pursuing um, some of the dreams, some of the desires that I had as an entrepreneur. And I can't, say I didn't have people, individuals in my lives whom I couldn't have observed, pick their minds. My grandparents, they were entrepreneurs. I had it close to me.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things that I see. And what I see even again with not being able to captivate an audience for this is you have, for the most part, you have those of our generation who have so far into their careers, they have so much rope behind them that they don't want to give it up and feel as if they're losing something.
Mhm.
Then you have those others in the generation that's ahead of us who feel as if they have so little road before them that it really would be a waste of their time, energy, and focus to pursue some of those dreams, some of those ideals, some of those ideologies that you all bring to the table. But I would encourage them all, our generation, the generation before us, and even that younger generation that fits in with Mr. Richards or with Mr. Williams. I would encourage them to, as long as you have breath in your body, you still have an opportunity to pursue your dreams, pursue your passion. And so that's, one of the things that my biggest takeaway from hearing them and reflecting back on my life, and realizing that as long as you're pursuing passion, you're always going to be happy. Pursue passion. Um, I think what we mess up is, rather than pursuing passion, we pursue the dollar. And as I always share with people when I'm talking with them, if you're pursuing the dollar, you're always going to realize that you're chasing a ghost. You're never going to catch it, because the moment you set in your mind that once I attain a standard of living where I'm making X amount, and should you accomplish it, you're going to realize that X amount is never going to be enough to satisfy you. So you're going to be constantly adjusting that bar. But if you're pursuing passion, passion is going to always take you places that money will never take you. And you're always going to be content in doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
That's the long answer to your question.
I love it, and thank you. And that was such a good way that you put it, because that is so true. That was what was instilled in us for years. You go, you get the education, and then you get a good job. You gonna make it to retirement, and that's what you had to look forward to. And the one thing that also stuck with me with those gentlemen was their thought about giving a hand up, here with a nonprofit to help students who are interested in medical school, through the process, because someone helped him, you know someone helped him to get there. He didn't just magically get there on his own. He had help, and Eric with helping others in the courier business and teaching them, and his brother, and employing others. So I think that our community needs more of that we're going to help each other to do it and not be afraid. My cohort, Anita, that's the one thing I love about her. If it doesn't work, she is not afraid to say that season is over, and I'm going to try something different, you all. Sometimes we're like, you're what? It's three. You've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning thinking about what? And it's this new thing, and it's burning. It's a burning passion, and she goes after it with everything. I admire that. I'm a little bit more reserved, a little bit more laid back. I gotta probably do analysis paralysis. When you know that about yourself, it is what it is. But she's not afraid to take chances, and she always has all of these different quotes about what motivates you. And you have to stop and think about it. And you're right, you're not too old. I think about all of the people that are great chefs, that are great cooks, and that's their passion, and they've always wanted to do it. Go and do it. I i saw a young lady that I kind of watch on Facebook a little bit start her own catering business, and she provides healthy meals to those around the Atlanta area. And she continues to talk about the doors that are opening and how God is blessing her in her passion, because that being a chef is what she's passionate about. So I just think you're never too old to do it, or too young in some cases to do that. I've always wanted to write a children's book in honor of my mom, and I can't tell you how many post-its I had laying around with ideas. So this year, I'm writing that book. It's in the illustration phase. Um, of doing so, but it shouldn't have taken me that long.
And to piggyback on what you just said, Bridget, especially in this season that
Yes.
we're in a season now, and y'all have been hearing me say this since last year. 20, 2020 brought to us, we went into 2020 saying that it's the year of clear vision, 2020, the perfect vision. We had all these nice, in the church, we had all of these nice annual themes for the year. And it sounded good. We preached on them very good in January and in February, but then March came. And then of course, our rhetoric from March through the end of the year was, 2010 is a horrible season. It's, we had all these nice memes that we created and everything. But I was encouraged by 2020. 2020 for me, and I think for us, was a season of opportunity.
Mhm.
And for those of us that missed that opportunity in 2020, we exited 2020 thinking, okay, 2020 is gone, it's behind us, things got to get better, and look at us now. So I even look at even in this continued season as the season of opportunity. I view this season that we're in as a season where God is still giving us an opportunity to seize on some of those opportunities that lie before us. And what really gets me is, in conversations with people and they're talking about talking about different various needs for the community. And the thing that goes through my mind is if you can visualize that need, and people usually preface it by saying, so what somebody need to do, what somebody need to open up is, why can't you be that somebody? And so we have to transition from being, identifying needs in the community and saying, well, there's a need, but there's such a void. There's a void. And we're waiting for someone to step into that void to fulfill that need. Our approach needs to become, if I can think of it, if I can think of that need, I need to sit down and write out the plans of how to make that need become a reality. And so that's why I say, it's irrespective of age. If you can think of it, then by God, why can't you be the one to bring it to pass?
That's true.
Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision, make it plain,
Absolutely.
so that they that read it shall be able to do what? Run with it and not tarry. So if you could come up with it, start writing it down. Doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're 7 or 77. If you can come up with it, you have everything that it takes to bring it to pass. But again, it comes from refocusing our mindset from that of consumerism
Mhm.
to being able to be able to be more creative. We had that conversation on last week when we're talking about, look at George Washington Carver, how he can look at a single peanut, and looking out of a teeny tiny peanut, look at all the possibilities that he found in that nut. If George Washington Carver can do that, so can we.
Absolutely.
We're creative individuals, but we just have to start tapping into our creativity.
Absolutely. And because somebody else did it or is doing it, that does not mean there's not space for you to do it. You know, I look at the shelf, I see dozens of children's books on the shelf, but they don't have one from Bridget. So that's how I'm looking at it. You don't they don't have my book yet. They don't have my cute little book on the shelf, or it's not, in a doctor's office. And the illustrator has the book, but I'm working on the marketing strategy. Don't stop. And if you don't have all the answers, talk to people. Don't be afraid to network, and to help you check the box that looks like it's impossible for you.
And again, I shared this with the church. several months ago. If you look at your life from its beginning, everyone that's tuned in, everybody, look at your life from its beginning. You started out with a 1, and on average, you started out on average, if you look at the male anatomy, you started out with a 1 in 10 million chance. Did y'all hear what I said? 1 in 10 million chance. Write that down. 1 in 10 million. That was your chance for survival. You were the lone spermatozoa of your daddy's seed that made your way up the stream. Y'all been in the anatomy class. So 9,999,999 other spermatozoas swam that same swim that you swam, but you were the lone one that made it. That alone tells you that you were created to be a survivor. And so what we have to realize is, rather than devalue ourselves and thinking we don't have what it takes, we have to begin to view it more so of, why not take the chance? If I don't, I'm guaranteed to fail. And I guess that's going back to, budgets for 2021. My motto my personal motto for 2021. I'm not going to say for 2020. My new life motto is, scared money don't make money. And so I say that to say, and I've been saying this since I've been back in the area, and having conversations with various people from back home. We talk about how, let's look at it. Over the last 2 census, so over the last 2 decades, there's been a not steady but massive decline of the population of Jefferson County. And everyone that I talk to that have left, and even those that I talk to that are still there, one of the first things that they say is, just nothing there. There's no opportunities. And I used to buy into that, and I used to say, yeah, you're right. But why not be the one? Why not you be that individual to be able to begin to create those opportunities and reverse that trend? So I've been saying this, I've been back in the area. I see the day where it's going to be, and y'all, I know those that tune in are going to think I really have lost my mind, and I'm probably drinking something in this water bottle other than H2O. But I mean this, and those that's been at Rejoice and Praise since we started in 2012, no, I've been beating this drum and I've been saying this. I see the days coming when Jefferson County is going to be a beacon of light. It's going to be a beacon in the CSR, and people are going to be looking at it as a case study to see what led to the transformation of that rural community that was at one point named one of the poorest communities in all the United States. What led to the transformation to it for it being such an out-migration to a rather, it's just turned around, and there's now a migration back to the community, and there's entrepreneurship, there's all kinds of things that's going on. And so I say, why not be a part of that narrative? And people to say, it began when Corinthian began to do this. It began when Jeanette began to do this. It began when Dot began to do this. It began when Janice began to do this. Why not be part of that narrative? Absolutely. Part of the narrative of what turned it around, other than saying what could be. Let's look at what could be. Did y'all hear what I said? And let's make it become. And so that's what I'm encouraged by. What encourages me is the fact that in order to change the way people think, we have to change the way we see things. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. See, but we got faith and we got hope in play. And y'all, I'm getting into some Sunday sermon, but I think it's important for me to, faith, that's the substance, but hope is not, is that I believe that hope, faith is what I see in my mind's eye, but hope is what I'm gonna one day see in my physical eye. So as long as I can see it by faith, hope, and as long as I keep hope in what I have faith for.
It's possible. It is possible.
Amen.
You can be the change maker.
That's it.
You're right.
That's it.
It starts with one person having the thought, or as Jeanette said, the dream. It's possible. Just about making it happen. What does it take to make it happen? And making that step. We look at the supplies that we have in our community, right? And we said, well, we don't have this in our community, or we have to go to the next town to get hair supplies, right? But we've got a young entrepreneur that is coming up in that market. Let's support that entrepreneur to grow that business and to make it better. I have a young lady that's going to join us in a couple of weeks, and we work together, and she told us, one day, my products, it's going to be a household name. I'm going to have a spa. And we were her test people. We bring home the face cream, and I'm putting carrots all over my face. And I've got very sensitive skin. I'm saying, well, that one doesn't work for me. So I'm the sensitive skin tester. So we give that to someone else. We sit down in the cafeteria. True story. We sit in the cafeteria. We test the products. We look at the labels. We were helping her cultivate that business. You all, today she has a spa. She was on CNN Saturday night. Has been in the New York Times, all starting in the cafeteria. It all started with a grandmother's kitchen, actually, where they were making products, skincare products, hair products. And so I'm excited about bringing her on to just to help you see the possibility. She never gave up on the dream. And without telling her story or stealing too much of her thunder, she made a big leap. And I got confidence in Bridget Miller, but I don't know if I would have made this leap. But she was passionate and confident in her skills and her product when she made that leap of faith. And she talks about how she prayed about it, and God was saying one thing, and her banking account was saying something different. So sometimes we just have to step out there a little bit. And as Pastor, as you said, scared money can't make money. But we have to believe in ourselves sometimes with our passions and our dreams. So you all give us the questions. Being pastor having this dialogue, but I want to hear from you all as well. My next question for you, Pastor, was about investing. We both love investing. How do you invest in yourself?
Wow. For me, and again, the greatest investment that I make in myself is vacation. And I say vacation because for me, I often tell people, and people that I deal with on a daily basis talk about how busy, how hectic their lives are. And I know it's a matter of perspective, but I always tell people, live one day in my shoes. For me, it's a constant. I'm usually up every morning by 5:30. And it's nonstop from 5:30 until the time I fall asleep on the couch at 10 at night. So for me, vacation is I preached about it a few Sundays ago. Christ in his earthly ministry, he stilled away, and it was in his moments of silence, of solitude, where he had an opportunity to pour back into himself. Vacation, that's for me, that's what vacations are. And I oftentimes tell my better half that for me, heaven on earth for me is on water, is near water, on a beach somewhere, because it's there that I can just focus. Here it is. I guess I can put it this way. There's a difference between, sermon preparation. I'm in the Bible. I'm in various books, preparing the word. And of course, I do a lot of reading for that. But there's a difference between that and me stealing away and just reading. I have several books on my shelf right now that I bought over the years that I have yet to read, because for the last 9 years, have not had an opportunity to read for myself personally because of everything else that I have going on. So I pour into myself, through getting away. I like to go into Lawsville. Me and my better half just getting away, going to Lawsville, and just being able to just focus on the sound of the water beating against the shore, hearing God speak to me in terms of the next move that He want me to make in my life. Because here's what I'll share with the people that's tuned in. And here's what I have learned. What I have learned in my walk with the Lord. Any vision that the Lord gives me, when I say to myself, man, how is that going to be done? The young Wright, and that's why I say now I'm always in constant reflection on how I wish the older Wright could have had a younger conversation with the younger Wright. The younger Wright, when he heard a God move, was so focused on how am I going to do it? I can't do that. That ain't possible. How in the world can I do that? You hear what I'm saying? I. And that was the point. And that's what the Lord was saying the entire time. That's the point. So the older Wright, when I'm able to steal away, when I'm able to, be alone and just reflect and hear the Lord, and hearing Him, say, get a farm and, build on the farm and do these things. The old Writer's like, okay, first of all, don't know how. I know we don't have the ability to do it, but it's like, okay, Lord, I trust you now, because you've shown me too many times that when it's out of my reach, when it's out of our reach and we can't do it, that's why you do it in the first place. And it's right here, y'all. Here's our roadmap. You show me one person in the Bible, one person, and I know this is financial freedom, but you show me one person in this book that the Lord called and they were equipped for the call. And I'll show you the errancy in what you're reading. Starting with Moses. He called Moses. Moses had a stutter. That was Moses' excuse. Lord, I got a stutter. How you going to send me to talk to these folks? He said, don't worry about that. Aaron's going to be your mouthpiece. Let Aaron talk for you. He said, but Lord, who am I to tell them sent me? He said, tell them I am. So if Moses ain't your testimony, go to Noah. Noah, we know Noah's issue. We Noah. He gave Noah a sermon. He gave Noah one sermon to preach for 100 years. We ain't got to talk about Noah too much because I just talked about him not too long ago to y'all. David has been sitting in the back of his daddy's field all this time tending sheep. He dirty, he stank. You done hang around sheep before. He called David to be the king, the next king of Israel. So you show me one person. Look at Paul. Paul had the academia, but what Paul didn't know the Lord, but he still called him and used him. And so for us, when we hear that voice and we hear him telling us to do things, we oftentimes talk ourselves out of our destiny based upon what we feel as if we're not qualified to do. But that's the point. He calls the unqualified and he qualifies them. So and I know, and that's why I keep saying it breaks my heart that we don't have as many people tuned in from Not Financial Freedom. Because one thing I always tell people, Lord didn't give me a whole lot, this little country boy from Browns Terrace. He didn't give me a whole lot, but one thing he gave me a whole heap of is discernment. And I know that the reason why some of the people don't tune in like they should is because, again, if they tune in and hear just some of the nuggets that y'all are sharing week in and week out. And as I think I put it in a post a week ago, the information that you all are sharing with us, people pay a whole heap of money for. I mean, when I say a whole heap of money, I mean a whole heap of money. But this is free information, confirmation, affirmation for a whole lot of folk that got dreams that you've been sitting on, that's been marinating in you for so many years. This is just your confirmation for you to get off your satisfaction and make them possible, because you've told yourself it's been too long. Time has passed by. He placed this dream in me years ago and it's dormant. But let me help somebody. Years ago, y'all, I bought some seeds. I bought some vegetable seeds years ago, Bridget, and they sat in our kitchen drawer for a long time. Never did open them, getting ready to throw them away. I said, you know what? I'm going to try planting them. I planted them, and lo and behold, guess what happened? Those seeds germinated. Sitting in my drawer, they weren't doing nothing for all them years. But it wasn't until I planted them in fertile ground and tended to them that they grew into what they were meant to do. And so that's why I say, I think that this platform is very important, because I know there's some entrepreneurs that's tuning in and week out. And this is going to be the catalyst to move you out the boat. You've been sitting in the boat, your comfort zone. But the Lord says, Lord can't work on you as long as you sit in your comfort zone. Because he's saying, if I work on you while you're in your comfort zone, you might be cocky enough to take the credit. But when you're willing to stretch yourself out, step out, and allow me, that's when you can say, if it was not for the Lord. Who see, but we need to talk about financial freedom. But that's the key. That's the thing that I think is important for us. It's for us in being able to realize that we have so much potential. And again, what is potential if it's not recognized? Show you what happens with potential if it's not recognized. This is what happens, y'all. And bear with me. So when potential is not recognized, Bridget, can y'all hear me?
We can.
I'm operating in the dark, as you can see. So when potential goes unrecognized, this is what we do. We spend life in the dark. not realize, bumbling, stumbling our way around. Sometimes we're fortunate enough where we can be in the dark for so long that we adapt to it. I can get up at night now that I'm over 40. And I know the men that's tuned in that's over 40 can attest to this. When you're getting up throughout the night, the multiple times to go to the bathroom, I can get up and go to the bathroom at night, Bridget, in the dark because I know the outline of my bedroom to the path from my bed to the bathroom. I've adjusted to being in the dark. So I don't need to operate in the light. And so for a lot of us, that's what happens. We've gotten so accustomed to not being living and not living in our full potential that we've adjusted to being in the darkness. When all along we got access.
That's true.
You're walking around in the house with the lights off, but you're paying Georgia Power or Jefferson EMC every month. But what you're doing is, and I've been guilty of this. You're trying to conserve on energy. You rather walk around. You rather be in the dark than flip that switch. And that's all the Lord is trying to do to us when He's given us. He said He'll give us the desires of our heart. We talk about it. But here's what happens is what the church has conditioned us to doing. The church has conditioned us to walking around thinking that we can just name it and claim it. When we can't just name it and claim it, blab it and grab it, y'all all call it and haul it, all that fancy, stuff we try to say. No, you got to put some blood, sweat, and tears into it because faith, according to James, Jesus' little brother, faith without works is dead. You can have all the faith in the world you want, but until you start working it, God's giving you the keys, the principles to doing it. But we want it the easy way. And then we get frustrated when it doesn't happen. And so that's what I would say, what I would suggest to us as I've, got off on this long diatribe. I forgot what your original question was, Bridget.
That
Um,
that was wonderful. You've answered the next question without even knowing it. Because I was going to ask you, why was financial freedom an important topic for the congregation, for you, for the congregation? And you really answered that. But you're right. We've got to work it. It's not going to happen if it's in the drawer. It's like the seeds, right? If you didn't take them out the drawer to plant them, they were just going to still be in the drawer. They weren't going to be germinated. They were not going to bear fruit if you didn't put in some work to make that happen. And it takes the work. You know, I say this all the time that you got to start somewhere. People are more willing to help you if you're starting. But if you never get off the couch, if you never get started, it's just like being in the dark. You'll just continue to be there, right? If I didn't put the pen to the paper, that book would still be a thought right in my head. I could say I want it all day long, but until I put it into action, it's just a thought. And that is it. I mean, I look at you stretching me with financial freedom. I tell you this all the time. And I'm happy to do it because I'm passionate about it now. I want to be able to bring topics and information that you all want to hear about, you know, because I want to be able to help. I want to expose you to things. I want to expand upon things and that you want to hear about. I want to tell you about how you prepare for your retirement. I want to tell you about those things you can start to do in your life to make the changes you want to see. But you've got to make a step too, right? Because if you keep doing the same thing, expecting different results, as I tell my children, That's the sign of insanity, honey. And I need to go ahead and check you in because you're expecting something and you're not doing anything different to get that. So if you want more, you got to do more.
Here's a crazy number. Y'all know I love numbers. Here's a crazy number I heard not too long ago. I think right now the population of blacks in the United States right now is about between 12 and 14%, if I'm not mistaken. We account for about $2.4 trillion in spending per year. What we spend per year would make us, in terms of a nation, we would be in the top 15 nations in terms of our gross domestic um, um, spending. So what that told me is, if we can rechannel, refocus our concentration and spending to saving, investing, do you know what kind of leverage we could have? We saw it. We've seen a glimpse of what we can do when we put our energy and effort, our concentrated energy and effort together and channel it as a community. We've seen what we can do just this past November and January. And so, what really gave me confirmation of what we're doing with this, as you said, you and I both love investing. GameStop. We talked about GameStop. GameStop, of course, some of you are familiar with GameStop. It's a video game store, publicly traded company. About a little over a month ago, GameStop stock was trading at about a little under $8 a share. Well, these group of individual investors got together and decided, hey, we're going to begin pumping money into GameStop and we're going to manipulate that stock. Basically, these individual investors, just like us, decided that they were going to deal with a lot of trading houses are doing, manipulating the stock. And within a 2.5 week span, GameStop's stock rose from a little under $8 a share to 400. I think it reached a high of like $463 a share. And so the significant portion, the thing that really made me shout, y'all, I was watching the news and began to, news and outlets began to report on it. But they had this young lady and her son on there. If I'm not mistaken, they were from the Midwest. A young black lady and her son. He was a preteen. She was talking about how he loves video games, and she decided to teach him, investing. And so she said she purchased him several shares of GameStop's stock when it was trading low, just to, teach him trading. Since he loved video games so much, that was the one that she decided to get. Well, what happened when the stock inflated? I want to say she bought him maybe 10 shares that she had bought for a couple of bucks. Well, when they inflated it, those couple of shares that was worth under $100, he now had over $3,000 worth of shares. And so they were interviewing him, asking what he was going to do. He said he sold some of his shares and he bought some video games, but he told his mama he wanted to, invest in more stocks. That's what I see with this. That's the vision that I have with this. It's for us to begin to think more in terms of investors, entrepreneurship, rather than, consumerism. Consumerism got us. And I'm not talking about just us as a community, us as America as a whole. We're consumer. We're a nation that's driven by consumerism. And so that's what I had in mind for this. And even, I've been one to bash, and say, may Snob remarks and comments about, when um, if folk would come out to the church house, this was pre-COVID, like they would when Jordan drop a pair of his when a pair of Jordans drop, there's the crowds are rushing. I was talking with one of my buddies there. That I was out with him, and he was telling me about this particular pair of Jordans that are now worth like $10,000 a pair. It's one of the rare one. I was like, you know what? What I'm gonna start doing, I'm gonna start getting involved in the Jordan craze. And because I thought about it, and I told him, I was like, that's an investment opportunity. And so I'm not, I don't knock them as much now because I see it as an opportunity, investing opportunity. Because let's face it, his airness, as much as we all have him up here on the pedal, he's like all of us. One of these days, he's going to have to cross that River Jordan. No pun intended. And I was telling my buddy, I was like, can you imagine just how much those shoes will be then? So I say that to say I vision this as being something that's going to reshape our mindset and focus on looking at opportunities for us to be able to promote whatever dreams, whatever visions we've been given. And in doing so, as you said, I think a very critical part of that is being able to reach back and do the same with others. I think that's the key. That's the missing link for us as a community, is being able to reach back and help encourage someone else to pursue their dreams, their passions, their goals, whatever you want to call them, with the same vigor, the same drive as we have. Because I think that's the way that we're able to build a community, that we're able to build each other, is by doing that. So that's why I'm so driven to see this segment being one that's going to birth entrepreneurs, that's going to be one that's going to hype them up, and so I want to be able to do all that we can do on this little platform to promote people, that's doing that thing, that's trying to be their boss, their own boss. That's what it's about.
Absolutely. I love one of the quotes that came across in the comments: think large, receive large. And, I think when we invest in each other, that's a huge investment. And leverage me in whatever way possible. I really do want to know what you all want to know more about, because it's about the turn and how I can help you on the things that you want to know about, that you want to know more about. If it's investing, if it's real estate, if it's how I should be aligning my 401k. I want to get started with a business, those types of things. Certainly, I want to bring things that are relevant and that will help us and how we build this community. I know when we first got started, and we're about out of time, and Pastor was talking about some of the utilities in the area. And, we talked about the power that we saw in November and January that we have, and how do we combine those efforts to make a change, in what we're seeing and what we're experiencing. And although I'm not in the community, I'm a part of the community because I'm a part of Rejoice and Praise. And I've got roots in the community, as I said a couple of days ago. So let's think about that as you walk away. Tonight, I'm hoping my special guest um, spark some something in each one of us that makes us want to go and make a deposit in ourselves and make a deposit in our community, to help make that change we want to see, and put Louisville on the map. that people are talking about and that they want to spend time and invest their money and efforts there, from a financial standpoint, and just for the fact of the community as a whole. Um, so think about those things. Uh, we're going to be back together in a couple of weeks. Come back. I, I'm excited about the guest. I was excited about my guest tonight. He was awesome. I really appreciate him sitting in the, as he would say, sitting in the lab with me, conversating, let me know what's on his mind. You all tune in tomorrow night for TNT. Dr. McCoy will sit at the helm, and she will give us a lot of knowledge as she does each and every week. And then on Wednesday night, we've got Let's Talk. And Pastor shared with us on yesterday as a special guest that's going to be joining him for Let's Talk.
Hey, let me say this, y'all. Let's Talk this Wednesday is really going to be a continuation of this. Um, we've got a young lady. I've got a young lady coming on with me Wednesday night. I heard actually Bridget had her on one of the segments. This was when we were offline in small groups. Tanise, I can't think of her last name. Um, y'all, I'm telling you, you don't want to miss Wednesday nights. Let's Talk, especially. Let's keep it a buck, y'all. Let's keep it a buck, especially if you have some credit challenges and you're saying, I've got dreams I want to do, but I don't have the credit score that I need to secure a loan or do whatever. Y'all want to hear what she's going to talk about. That's a little snippet. That's a little snippet of what she's going to be sharing with us. You want to be present Wednesday to pick her brain. Because again, this stuff you can't get for free, y'all, but you're getting this for free. And people spend good money to get this information. So tune in Wednesday for Let's Talk. Tune in tomorrow for Dr. McCoy. Y'all, every week she amazed me. I'm amazed. I was like, man, right when I think that she's just at that level. She's just go higher and higher, Bridget. It's like, does she ever stop learning? She's such a student of the Bible. I say to myself every Tuesday, it's like she done forgot more of the Bible than I probably have even digested. So y'all tune in. Thank y'all for being on.
Tomorrow, everybody.
Yeah, 7:00 tomorrow for that, and 7 p.m. Wednesday for Let's Talk. 6:30 Wednesday morning, y'all. Prayer. Bring your needs to the table. Let's pray about it. And let's seek the Lord's face for confirmation for what it is we're trusting Him to do. God's got, hey, this is it, and I'm done. Let me say this. There's a song that's out that says, I'm expecting great things. I love that song. My nieces were the ones that got that song embedded in my mind. But the more I listen to it, the more true it resonates. I'm expecting great things. I'm expecting great things in my life. You do great. Y'all need to be singing that song over yourselves as we expect great things of the Lord. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm in overtime. Thank you for having me. I'm humbled again, Bridget. Y'all be blessed.
All right. Good night, everybody.